Good evening. A warm welcome to all of you for this webinar, Natural is Future. We are thankful to all of you for taking your precious time to join this webinar. I am Dr. Chandan Chatterjee, Group Product Manager, Natural Remedies Private Limited. I would be the moderator of this webinar. This webinar is presented to you by Natural Remedies Private Limited. Before going to our main topic, please let me allow to give a small brief about natural remedies. Our visionary, Sri R.K. Agarwal, our chairman, with his foresightedness, created pioneering activity in herbal animal healthcare domain. Today, under the leadership of our managing director, Mr. Anurag Agarwal, and our commercial director, Mr. K. Narendra Reddy, Natural Remedies is number one herbal veterinary healthcare company of India. The backbone for getting the identity of number one for us is our world-class research and development center, which is located at Bangalore. Natural products are very complex in structure. With deeper studies and science and validation, we develop few of our brands as brand leader in their sector, and we can call them best-in-class natural solution. Based on the science and deliverables, our products are patronized by our satisfied customers around the world, and as a result, we have strong presence in more than 30 countries. Natural remedies provide solution in terms of specialty products for all species like ruminant, poultry, etc. We believe nature is the treasure, science is the strength, and health and happiness are the core of life. And our vision is we harness nature, apply science for health and happiness. Natural remedies have a world-class state-of-the-art research and development facility where we have more than 40 scientists working with us. We have more than 120 scientific peer-reviewed studies and more than 50 patents. More than 220 phytocompounds isolated for global reference standards, and more than 100 monographs contributed for US Pharmacopoeia, British Pharmacopoeia, and Indian Pharmacopoeia. We have our in vitro GLP certified lab for safety studies. The quality control process of natural remedies is based on four pillars: genuinity, safety, efficacy, and consistency. We follow a stringent quality control process to provide you safe and effective product batch after batch. You get what you pay for. Being vocal for local, we are an Indian multinational organization and growing globally across 30 countries. Today, some of our brands has turned to global brands like Phytosi, Polin Plus, and Steady. Now, proceeding towards our main presentation, to make this webinar interactive, there are options for chat and questions on your screen. If you are using a laptop or desktop, you can see these options on the right side of your screen. If you are using a mobile phone, you can see these options if you scroll down. If you want to introduce yourself or give any suggestions, please use the chat option. If you want to ask questions, please use the questions option. You can ask questions anytime during the webinar, and we would be happy to answer all of your questions during this webinar or through your mail at a later time. Today, we have with us Professor Dr. G. Devegowda, Emeritus Professor, University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore. Dr. Devegowda is a veterinary graduate and has obtained his doctorate degree in animal sciences from University of Minnesota, USA. He worked as professor and head, Division of Animal Sciences, University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore, and also worked as visiting scientist and professor at North American Biosciences Center, USA. He was the integral part of the editorial board of World Mycotoxin Journal. Dr. Devegowda is recipient of few prestigious awards like Biotechnology Medal of Excellence, the International Feed Industries Awards, Compound Livestock Feed Manufacturers Association Award, and Fellow of National Academy of Veterinary Sciences for its outstanding contribution in the field of biotechnology, nutrition, and animal feed technology. Presently, Professor Dr. Deve Gaura is an advisor of nutritional biotechnology and president of IVPI, that is Institution of Veterinarians of Poultry Industry. Dr. Deve Gaura has traveled more than 75 countries and presented scientific papers. Today, Dr. Deve Gaura is the main speaker for this webinar. I welcome Dr. Deve Gaura on stage. Today, he will enlighten us about a very relevant topic for current scenario, strategies for optimizing feed cost. Welcome you, sir, and over to you.
Okay, I would like to share some practical information for optimizing the feed costs, mainly poultry, and to some extent it is applicable to the dairy feeds also. Situation dependent feed formulation. What is the market price of egg? What is the market price of broilers? Depending upon that, we have to formulate the feed. When the market price of egg and broiler is good, we have to go for high density nutrient requirements. And when the market price is less, we have to go for low density nutrient requirements. And also during some metabolic disorders like ascites in broilers, we have to change the nutritional requirement during growth. In case of shell quality in layers and breeders also, you have to change the nutritional requirement. Coming to the flexible feed formulas, what age you want to market the broiler birds or what age you want to liquidate the layer birds. Accordingly, we have to change this formula. For example, in broilers, if you want to market the broilers at 35 days of age, we can go for 3-stage feed formulas as we are practicing regularly. If we are marketing the broilers at 42 days with a bigger bird, then better to go for 4-stage feed formulas with 2 finisher feeds, finisher 1 and finisher 2. In finisher 2, we can drastically reduce the protein content, amino acids, vitamins and minerals that will be great economical advantage to the producers. Coming to the when to use the pellet feed and when to use the mash feed, this all of you know very well. But still, I would like to highlight some of the advantages and disadvantages of pellet and mash feeding. Coming to the pellets, to produce the pellets, it is expensive. To produce 1 ton of pellet feed, it costs about 1,200 rupees. It is time consuming to produce pellets as compared to the mash feed and also energy demanding. But there are several advantages. There is improved feed conversion ratio, better weight gain due to better digestibility of the feed, less wastage of feed. There is a destruction of bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, and the viruses, including COVID-19 virus, will be destroyed at this temperature. Still, there are many advantages. Segregation of feed is minimized, flexibility in feed formulation. Only thing is make sure pellet is of good quality. If pellet is having more fines, more than 10 to 15% of fines, it is not beneficial. Coming to the mash to produce the mash, it is cheaper. Approximately, it costs 400 to 400 rupees, 450 rupees to produce 1 ton of mash feed. That is the manufacturing cost or the processing cost. In mash feed, the particle size is bigger as compared to the pellet feed, where the particle size is small, less than 600 micron. Since the particle size is big, there is a good gizzard development. So as a result, even the gut health condition will be good. Coming to the gizzard development, in the pellet-fed birds versus mash-fed birds, first 3 pictures down, if you look at it, gizzard and proventriculus, which are taken from the birds fed pellet feed. Look at the gizzard is not developed, it is small. Coming to the next 3 pictures, these are gizzard and proventriculus taken from the birds fed with mash feed. Look at the well-developed gizzard. Well-developed gizzard is very essential for good feed digestion. And also this well-developed gizzard feed moves from the gizzard to proventriculus and back, keep on moving to proventriculus and back. So there is a good mixing of acid as well as the enzymes. That is why good feed digestibility, nutrient digestibility, and also reduction in the bacteria. Coming to the effect of moisture optimization during feed production, during feed processing or feed manufacturing, approximately 1% of the feed is lost. So we have to recoup that 1% moisture which is lost. Not only recouping 1% moisture, we have to add additional another 1% of moisture to have a good performance. So for that purpose, what we do, we spray the organic acid with water, 1 to 2%, that is 10 to 20 kilogram per ton of feed. And when you go for moisture optimization, there is an increased feed output, production output, what we call throughput. Throughput is more from the pelleting press. It is a beneficial, reduces power consumption, and the most important when you go for moisture optimization, it minimizes the hard and dry pellet. If the pellets are hard and dry, the birds do not consume properly. They throw away at the time of feeding. So as a result, it will be economic loss. About 1% extra feed is obtained by going for moisture optimization. This moisture optimization is used in pellet feed, even in mash feed also, even in dairy feed. Dairy feed also, nowadays pellet feed, they are manufacturing more commonly. There also it is beneficial. Coming to the cost benefit of moisture optimization, taking a company producing about 30 tons of feed per year, or an integrator producing 30 tons of feed per year, or a layer producer. Here with a moisture intake of 1%, there will be an extra feed of 300 tons per year with a company producing 30,000 tons. So I have taken a feed cost at the rate of 30,000 rupees per ton as a broiler feed. So 30,000 into 300, it comes to 90 lakhs. In this 90 lakhs, we have to deduct the input cost of the moisture optimization. That is about 60 to 70 rupees is the input cost of moisture optimization. So for 300 tons, it comes about 20 lakhs. So 90 minus 20, 70 lakhs is the net profit when you go for moisture optimization. Not only direct benefit, indirect benefits, reduced power consumption, increased feed output, minimizes the hard pellet. So there are several advantages going for the moisture optimization. Now coming to the amount of undigested feed. Nearly 25 to 30% of the feed what you give to broilers, layers, breeders is undigested. Almost one third. Huge amount of feed is undigested. That comes out in the manure. In case of protein, about 12 to 15% of protein undigested. Similarly, carbohydrate also. Nearly 12 to 15% of carbohydrate is undigested. To some extent, fat. Altogether, it comes to 25 to 30%. So main objective, minimize this undigested feed. Even if you reduce by 10%, there is a great economical advantage. Not only economic direct benefit, indirect benefits are too many, which I am going to present the indirect benefits by minimizing the undigested feed. By minimizing the undigested feed, we are reducing the amount of droppings. Now, when the droppings is more, it produces ammonia because it contains uric acid, urea. In the presence of bacteria, it converts into ammonia. And also more fly problems. All of you know the ammonia and fly is the biggest challenge, especially if the poultry farm is located near the villages or near town. They start protesting. Okay, they close down the farm. Don't operate it. So these kind of incidences are very common in our country recently, especially in Barwala area. There was a big challenge about 2 years back. Administrative authorities, they directed them either to reduce the fly problem, ammonia problem, or close down the farms. So it is a very, very important from the uh, even green gas emission also it is very important. And by reducing the amount of droppings, we are reducing the health problems like ascites. When there is a more ammonia, the birds will be more susceptible to the ascites condition, more so in the winter season, and more susceptible to the chronic respiratory disease, and more wet droppings when there is a more undigested feed. Now the ammonia production cycle in a poultry shed, the protein, even the NSP, they will be metabolized into uric acid and urea. It will be excreted in the feces, in the droppings, and in the droppings there is a urea producing bacteria. That bacteria converts urea, uric acid into ammonia. This ammonia is a highly irritating gas to the workers, to the birds, and it is a nuisance. That is why we have to minimize the ammonia, we have to minimize the fly problem in order to get a better performance. Coming to the protein digestion, amino acid digestion, if you look at the protein digestion in some of the commonly used raw materials, maize only 88% is digested, remaining 12% is undigested protein. Soybean meal 85% is digested, remaining 15% undigested. Rapeseed still higher, 20% undigested. Rice polish about 35%. Meat and bone meal. So this is a huge loss. Undigested protein, huge loss. This undigested protein favors the bacterial multiplication, pathogen multiplication in the GI tract. That pathogen multiplication favors predisposes the birds to several diseases, including necrotic enteritis. So what is the solution? Making use of a good protease enzyme. Approximate cost of this protease enzyme to include in 1 ton of feed is about 300 rupees. It may be slightly more, it may be slightly less, depending upon which company we are going to buy. By using protease enzyme, we can take out about roughly 18 kilogram of soybean meal per ton of feed, and 2 kilogram of oil we can take out. When we take out, we have to add something, like generally we add maize. Totally, if we calculate overall, there will be net profit of about 200 to 250 rupees by supplementation of protease. This is the direct benefit. Indirect benefits are too many. As I mentioned, it reduces ammonia, it reduces the wet droppings, even the bumblefoot condition, that also minimizes. Coming to the undigested feed, nutrients, which favors the microorganisms development. This is extremely important nowadays, where we are going for antibiotic-free production system. When you go for antibiotic-free production system, you have to make sure the gut is in good condition. For that purpose, you have to make sure the feed what you give to the chickens is well digested. If it is not digested, look at the increase in the bacterial content in the GI tract. That increased bacterial load in the GI tract will make the birds more susceptible to the necrotic enteritis, that is in broilers. The necrotic enteritis further aggravate the condition. It makes the feed further undigestible. Look at the second picture where there is an undigested feed. Not only undigested feed, which reduces the feed conversion ratio, growth rate, and also there will be more mortality. So totally it will be huge economic loss when there is when the protein is digested less. For that purpose, you have to make use of good enzyme so that this kind of disadvantages we can minimize. Coming to the soybean meal, we have different type of soybean meal with a different protein content. Very commonly, the producers buy a soybean meal containing about 45% protein. This 45% protein contains about 6.5% of adulterants. What are those adulterants? It is mainly soybean hulls, sand silica, and sometimes DL rice bran, urea. So when you are buying 1 ton of 45% soybean meal, you are buying 65 kg of adulterants, which will be great economic loss. So try to buy a higher protein soybean meal, and by purchasing the higher protein soybean meal, adulterants will be less. Not only that, more energy, more amino acid available. I know it is more costly, still it is better to use the soybean meal with 47 to 48% protein, especially in chick stage, in breeder flock, in pre-starter, in broilers, starter period. That will be much better than using the soybean meal with 44 or 45% protein, more adulterants that reduces the performance. Coming to the minimizing the dietary protein, the excess protein. When there is excess protein, the birds will drink more water in order to get rid of this protein. Not only that, when there is a more protein, it is taxing the liver, because in the liver it has to metabolize. So we have to minimize this dietary protein at least by 0.5 to 1% in order to reduce the feed cost. That is a direct benefit, and also better performance. And especially in summer season, reducing the protein reduces the yeast stress condition. It reduces the ammonia formation. It reduces the wet droppings. Look at, there are several advantages. Coming to the digestible amino acid requirements, this is for broilers. This is a suggestion from myself. Of course, these digestible amino acids requirements, what I mentioned here, these levels we can change it. Either we can increase or decrease depending on the season, summer season, winter season, or you want high density feeds when the market is good, or low density feed when the market is good. So these digestible amino acids, whatever is shown here, it is only suggested level. It is left to the nutritionist, left to the veterinarian, left to the broiler producers. They can change depending upon the situation, their requirement. Coming to the energy value of oils and fats, what we commonly use in the broiler feeds, here rice bran oil is as good as soybean oil with respect to energy value. Small reduction in energy value in rice bran oil, but it is more cheaper rice bran oil. At least it is cheaper by 10 rupees for every kilogram. So using the rice bran oil is more economical, energy value also good, it is safe to use it. Only thing is we have to make sure free fatty acid content, we have to less than 5, but less than 5 is very difficult in a commercial operation to get less than 5. It will be somewhere 10 to 15, even 10 to 15 also should be fine. Then coming to the palm oil is relatively low in energy, so it is not economical until the palm oil is available at a much cheaper rate. Poultry feed is good, poultry fat, it is especially for the older birds, good energy value. Coming to the NSP content in the maize, I have taken a new maize and old maize here. You know, in the summer season, that is starting from May, June, we get the new maize having high moisture, high NSP content. In the new maize, the NSP content will be as high as 8%. This high NSP content increases the gut viscosity. When the gut viscosity is increased, digestibility reduces, energy value reduces. Look at in the old maize, it's about 5%. There is a big difference. So what is the solution? Solution is to make use of the NSP enzymes, especially xylanase, NSP enzymes, to break down this NSP so that it will releases more energy. It releases 75 calories per every kilogram of feed. That means if you go for nutrient matrix, we include 75,000 calories in the nutrient matrix. So when there is so much of energy, we can reduce the oil inclusion rate, oil and fat inclusion rate in the feed. And in the least cost feed formulation, you can see if you work, it will work out. And I have seen there will be a direct benefit of at least 600 rupees, 600 to 650 rupees by inclusion of NSP enzyme because of more release of energy. Not only the direct benefit, indirect benefits also too many by using this NSP enzyme. Like here also it reduces the amount of droppings, and also the wet litter problem minimizes. Coming to the E. coli, the new generation E. coli phytase, this is very commonly used both by layer producers, broiler producers, including the breeders, very commonly used. Nowadays, we go what we call super dosing, we go for that. With a superdosing, there will be release of up to 0.17% of phosphorus, available phosphorus. Here with this, we can completely take out 10 kilogram of DCP. You know, DCP contains 18% of phosphorus. Out of that 18% phosphorus, only 85% is bioavailable. So effectively, it comes to 0.15 is the available phosphorus in 10 kilogram of DCP. So inclusion of phytase enzyme, we can completely take out 10 kilogram of DCP, which will be very much economical, direct saving of 300 to 350 rupees. Not only by taking out DCP, some more energy will be released and also amino acids also will be released. So these are the advantages. Then with a new maize containing more moisture, it will be more susceptible to the fungal growth. This when the moisture in the maize is about 14, 15, 16% moisture during the harvesting time, at that time the fungi will grow. As a result of fungal growth, there is a nutritional value reduces. Not only nutritional value reduces, there will be production of mycotoxins. These mycotoxin affects not only poultry, dairy animals, aqua, including humans. Lot of studies including humans. So we have to dry this maize if you want to store it, or if you want to use it immediately, should not be problem. So drying, generally we do it by sun drying or mechanical drying. Some companies are doing it, or use the mold inhibitor. It is not only the maize, even other raw materials containing more moisture, they are also susceptible to the fungal growth. Make sure in the raw materials and in the finished feed, moisture level is low so that there is no fungal formation or insect formation. Coming to the what are the disadvantages of mycotoxins when they are present in the feed? Mycotoxins, especially Fusarium mycotoxins like T2 toxin, like DON, they are caustic in nature. They are irritating in nature. They damages the entire mucous membrane starting from mouth till the large intestine. As a result of this damage of the mucous membrane, birds will be more exposed or more susceptible to the necrotic enteritis. It is very, very important in the present day system where we are taking out antibiotics. So minimizing the mycotoxins, minimizing the undigested feed, it is a very important. At the same time, makes the birds more susceptible to coccidiosis and more wet droppings. And mycotoxin, they are immunosuppressive in nature. These mycotoxins, when they are present, they inhibit DNA and RNA synthesis and also protein synthesis. In spite of vaccination, regular vaccination, there will be vaccination failure because of immunosuppressive effect. So birds will be more exposed to the disease condition in spite of vaccination, including Newcastle disease, Marek's disease, and so on. And there is increased morbidity like shell quality problem in layers, breeders, skeletal problem in broilers, and mortality, and overall there is a reduced performance. Mycotoxin do affect the shell quality. In mycotoxin interfere with a enzyme, very important enzyme required for shell formation, that is carbonic anhydrase, which is a zinc dependent enzyme. When the mycotoxins are present, it interferes with carbonic anhydrase enzyme production. As a result, shell quality will be affected. Shell will be thin. So more breakage both in commercial airbirds as well as in the breeder flock. In breeder flock, there is a reduction in hatchability. So these are the disadvantages when the mycotoxins are present. Coming to the mycotoxin which are present in the feed, by pelleting we cannot destroy them because pelleting temperature is about 80 degree. At 80 degrees centigrade, we cannot destroy them. Only by pelleting, the bacteria will be destroyed, like Salmonella, E. coli, viruses, including, as I mentioned earlier, COVID-19 virus also will be destroyed. And it will destroy some of the anti-nutritional factors like trypsin inhibitors, tannins. Look, like that, there are some advantages of pelleting, but it will not destroy the mycotoxins. So what is the solution? How to minimize the mycotoxin? How to take care of the mycotoxin that are present in the layer feed, broiler feed, and in the breeder feed? One is make use of the maize pre-cleaner. Many of the feed producers, many integrators, layer farmers, nowadays they have installed maize pre-cleaner. This maize pre-cleaner removes the dust, it removes the waste materials. Mycotoxin present at higher concentration in the dust and in the waste materials. Thereby we are minimizing, not completely eliminating, we are minimizing the mycotoxin content. And the second approach, try to buy good quality raw materials, all the raw material, but it is easy to say on the stage, buy good quality. But practically getting good quality raw materials all the time, it is impossible. Absolutely, I have seen it is very, very difficult throughout the year getting the good quality raw materials. So the third solution will be make use of a good mycotoxin binder. So in the market, there are different types of mycotoxin binders are available, both inorganic mycotoxin binder and organic mycotoxin binder. So different types are available. We have to make use of these mycotoxin binders at the rate of about, of course, the cost of these mycotoxin binders inclusion rate, it varies from 100 rupees to 300 rupees per ton of feed. And how to store the raw materials in the feed godown, both the raw materials as well as the finished feed. We have to store the raw materials on wooden pellets. Of course, all of you know, but still it is better to practice storing on the wooden pellets away from the walls to prevent moisture migration. Once there is a moisture migration, it will cause a lump formation, even insect formation, fungal formation. That is why storage of the raw materials as well as the finished feed is very important. Coming to this layer birds, nowadays this extended laying period is a new concept, keeping the layer birds up to 90 weeks. So far, we used to keep up to 80 weeks, now going up to 90 weeks with 440 eggs production. Even in some countries, they have gone up to 100 weeks with the 500 eggs production. Now, let us see what are the challenges in extended laying period. Challenges in the extended laying period. One is egg size increases as the age advances. After 80 weeks, 90 weeks, egg size increases. See, and it will directly affect the shell quality when the egg size increases. Because what will happen, the amount of shell, whether it is at 90 weeks or 50 weeks, is the same. So when the egg size increases, shell quality become thin. So it is very important to maintain proper level of calcium, vitamin D, that bioavailable form of vitamin D, what we call as a high D. So inclusion of high D, calcium, proper level of calcium, and other nutritional changes is very essential to maintain good shell quality and minimize the breakage both in breeder flock as well as commercial layers. And good pullet nutrition. Pullet nutrition is a very challenging in the extended laying period. You have to make sure good skeletal development, good medullary bone development. For that purpose, again, calcium, vitamin D, these things are very essential for good pullet nutrition. Finally, coming to the liver health. Liver is the one which is a very important organ where all the major nutrients are metabolized in the liver. Not only that, even vitamin D, to make it bioavailable, it will be vitamin D is converted into 25 hydroxy D3 in the liver. When the liver is in good condition only, vitamin D will be available to the birds. If liver is not in good condition, then vitamin D will not be available to the birds. Not only that, liver is the organ responsible for detoxification, not only mycotoxins, other toxins. So liver plays a very, very important role. You have to make sure the health of the liver is very important. Then maintaining the healthy liver, good production we get, good cell quality. Here some of the nutrients, choline is most important to maintain the good liver condition. We try to include more of choline, that bioavailable form of choline. We try to include more of bioavailable organic type of choline. Not only choline, even biotin is also essential to maintain a good healthy liver and also vitamin B12. In the extended layer cycle, we try to include more of coarse marble grit, and as the age advances, we include more of coarse marble grit as compared to the fine marble grit. And also top dressing of coarse marble grit, 1 to 2% of top dressing is also essential, and 1 kg of magnesium oxide, because for shell formation, some amount of magnesium also essential. So inclusion of magnesium oxide to maintain the good shell quality, vitamin D, especially in the bioavailable form ID, is improves the shell quality. The feed intake in case of layers, of course, all of you know the feed intake is influenced by temperature. That I am not discussing. Calcium, in a deficient level of calcium or low level of calcium, feed intake increases. Why? In order to make up the calcium. Because in case of layers and breeders, if there is a calcium deficiency, then the birds will want to try to make it up. That's why it will eat more feed and it will not be economical. Maintain proper level of calcium and amino acids also, phosphorus also. If there is a phosphorus deficiency, birds will eat more feed. So balancing all the nutrients, especially calcium, amino acids, phosphorus, is very essential to minimize the feed intake in the layers and breeders. If you look at the economics in case of commercial layers, feed intake and economics, for every just 1 gram increase, in feed intake per bird per day, there is an increase in the feed cost by about 6 lakhs for 1 lakh bird per year. Just 1 grams, look at, makes a huge difference. 6 lakhs rupees in 1 year period. If the layer farmer is having about 10 lakhs layers, it will be 60 lakhs is the loss if there is an increase, 1 gram increase. So you have to make sure they maintain the proper nutritional balance and good management is essential. Coming to this one, chicken and eggs, which are very, very rich in protein, rich in vitamins, rich in minerals like zinc, selenium, vitamins like vitamin D, vitamin B12. They are all essential to minimize the malnutrition in our country, which is too much, and also to boost the immunity. During this COVID-19 period, to the COVID-19 patients, in most of the states throughout India, they are giving eggs along with a meal. Not only eggs, in some of the states like Kerala, West Bengal, northeastern states, in some of the other states, they are giving eggs and chicken also to boost the immunity of the COVID-19 patients. So this is a great contribution by our broiler producers, layer producers, nutritionists, veterinarians, all the scientists that are involved in this process, produce this highly nutritious chicken and eggs to meet the nutritional requirements of our people, at the same time provide the food and nutritional security. Finally, I am coming to the take-home message of this presentation. One is the moisture optimization. It minimizes the feed cost to the extent of about 300 rupees per ton of feed. Direct benefit, indirect benefits are many. And usage of the enzymes, usage of the NSP, phytase, protease, all of them put together, there is a direct benefit of 1,000 rupees per ton of feed, and indirect benefits are huge, like minimizing the manure, minimizing ammonia, fly problem, which is a big challenge, especially pollution control board. Nowadays, they are very strict about the pollution, ammonia creation, fly problem. Now the Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Board, They are very strict on that. So make use of the enzyme for a better digestion, reduce the fly problem, reduce the ammonia, and situation dependent feed formulation. Here I would like to give an example. During this year, in the month of March, April, May, some of the raw materials were not available at all for the poultry producers. Even if they want to buy, they were not available because interstate movement of raw materials was stopped. For example, in Karnataka, we were not getting soybean meal at all. What we did, formulate the feed, whatever with available raw materials, like available was maize, DORB, just make use of DORB and maize, formulate the feed. At least maintenance requirement. To make the maintenance requirement, maybe some production. So situation dependent is extremely important. What is the market price? When the market price is good, when the market price is not good, go for mash or pellet. So these are the different approaches. Maintaining the healthy liver and healthy gut. Why healthy gut? Nowadays, where all the countries in the world, including India, we are taking out antibiotics. In our country also, almost almost 80-90% of the broiler producers have taken out the antibiotics. So in that situation, maintaining the good gut condition is very essential for good performance and healthy liver for better overall performance of the birds. And finally, chicken and eggs. We should congratulate our producers, all veterinarians, nutritionists, for producing such a high quality protein, vitamin and mineral enriched at such a economical rate. Now chicken meat is the cheapest meat and highly consumed meat throughout the world. Chicken meat is more than 50% of the people in the world, they consume chicken as compared to the other meat. So with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much to all the participants. And also I thanks Natural Remedies, which is the #1 herbal health company in India in the field of veterinary and animal sciences. I am sorry in the beginning there was some trouble in starting the system. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful presentation. It was wonderful to get to know such precise and practical tips in making strategies for optimizing feed cost. I believe this session would be very useful for every one of us. We also received number of questions from audience regarding their questions, regarding their queries, and we will try to answer them in our question and answer round after the next session. For the next session, we have an interesting topic for discussion: better energy utilization, key for profitable poultry farming. To present this topic, we have with us Dr. Pooja Gautam. Dr. Pooja is a veterinarian and masters in pharmacology and toxicology. She has 8 years of techno-commercial experience in poultry feed supplement domain. Dr. Pooja is my colleague and presently working as product manager in Natural Remedies. Welcome, Dr. Pooja, on stage. Over to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Chandan, for your nice word, and very good evening to all the audience. Today I am going to throw a light on better energy utilization, a key for profitable business. Whenever we are rearing the birds, our main 70% of the bird rearing cost is contributed by the feed. And I have taken an example here. This is the balance sheet of an average broiler producer with 500 birds. You can see here the feed, including starter and finisher, is contributing about 3.6 lakh, which is approximately 73% of the total variable cost. If we include the fixed cost also, it comes around 72% of the total rearing cost. If we'll go deeper into it, what we find that 70% of the feed space in this feed cost is actually occupied by the energy sources. So indirectly we can say that 70% of the bird rearing cost is contributed by the energy sources. So conclusion of this slide is energy is the foremost important and the largest part of the poultry feed. Now my next question is, merely choosing an economical energy source and its quantity is enough? I don't think so. Why? Because poultry feed raw material market trend drives the poultry business. I have taken this index data from last 1 year. You just see the maize price got doubled in April 2020 in comparison to the April 2019. Same trend if we have seen in the same time we have compared the egg price got 70% drop in April 2020 in comparison to the April 2019. Same kind of the decline has been encountered by the broiler market, where broiler has been sold at rupees 20-30 per kg, while in April 19 its average price is lying somewhere around 100 and 110. So what I want to convey from this data, the feed grain, egg and meat prices are very much volatile and dynamic, and we cannot rely on them for our profitable poultry business. So in these circumstances, poultry production can make profitable only if the energy is utilized efficiently and with least cost formulation. Before going to the least cost formulation, I just want to highlight the energy sources in the feed. Of course, carbohydrate is occupying 60 to 70, 65% of the feed formulation space, majorly by meal, maize and oil sources. Next is the protein. Though people are using protein for a amino acid supplementation, but protein also can provide the same amount of the energy as carbohydrate by the process of gluconeogenesis. And third ingredient is the fat. Fat is called as condensed source of the energy, what we will discuss in later slides. If we will see the energy scale of these feed ingredient, 1 gram of the carbohydrate and protein can give 4 calories of energy, while same amount means 1 gram of the fat can provide 9 calories of the energy. So nutritionists, while balancing the energy, are considering various aspects, various factors during this balance. I'm going to discuss here few factors which has to be considered during balancing the energy in the feed. One is, it's not a simple arithmetic calculation, but it's beyond it. I just want to quote an example here. Tallow, when it's used in the corn-based diet, is giving very much good true metabolic energy, but same energy you will not get when tallow is used, same amount of the tallow if used in the beet-based diet. Second consideration is synergistic effect of the two energy sources. For example, we are using this saturated fatty acid, blending it with this little vegetable oil. So what vegetable oil will do? It will improve the absorption of free fatty acid through the intestine. So whatever metabolic energy, total metabolic energy released in the body actually is the more than the total of the metabolic energy of the saturated fat and a little vegetable oil what you added. So this is called a synergistic effect. Third consideration is the some farmers are considering that overuse of the enzyme, top up of the enzyme on over and above the prescribed enzyme label in the feed formulation can improve the balance of the energy, utilization of the energy. But believe me, it is a myth. Whatever nutritionist has formulated enzyme label in your feed formula is enough for energy utilization. You have to go for other options for further utilization. Next is the consideration of the male and female as they have different requirement for certain elements. For example, we just talk about the choline. Choline requirement in the male is more than the female because female can synthesize more choline due to estrogen effect in their body. Age and phase, anyway, all the formulator, nutritionist and farmer are using the balance of energy as per the age and phase nowadays. And very much considered factor is the change in energy source as per the season. I'm going to discuss here the balancing of the energy during summer. What happened in summer? Due to summer stress, birds are drinking more water and their feed intake decreased. In this condition, aim of the nutritionist is to provide more energy in small amount of the diet. So in that condition, nutritionist is formulating the feed formula in such a way that they are replacing a part of carbohydrate from the fat, as fat is the condensed source of the energy. This kind of the formulation is called as the dense formulation. In any reason, because of any reason or failure of following any consideration, ultimately result excess energy in the feed and improper feed digestion. This unutilized energy in the body of the bird actually converting into the fat and leads to many problems like suboptimum production, fatty liver, abdominal fat. So how to cope up with that? There are several ways to improve further energy utilization in the body. If you are using addition of the fat in the diet, remember the fat should be mixed in a balance with the saturated and unsaturated fat together. I just want to give an example. When we are using fat in the diet, it actually improves the MBM absorption and digestion. So this kind of the interrelations and digestion improvement conditions are there. Then steam pelleting and conditioning, as Devagowda sir already stated, apart from better digestion, you can also save 300 rupees per ton of the feed by conditioning of the feed. Next, use of dietary enzyme. This also we have discussed a lot in our previous presentations. Then use of L-carnitine. Actually, in poultry feed formulation, we are not using L-carnitine directly, but there are the very many indirect way to improve L-carnitine level in the bird's body. Several herbs are claiming and improving the L-carnitine level in the bird's body for better energy utilization. Then none of the feed formulation in India or worldwide are making nowadays without lysine and methionine. Even in breeders, nutritionists are able to achieve the performance level by improving a little lysine and methionine level and decreasing the crude protein level. And last, good liver health. As Devagowda sir also said, I just want to quote one thing. There is the saying, a bird with ordinary feed formula but extraordinary liver health can provide the extraordinary result or performance. There are several herbal ways also to improve the energy utilization, like use of polyphenols, curcumin, catechin, gallic acid. So in natural remedy, we are the forerunner for the herbal expertise in animal health. We have blended all these phytoactives and came up with a solution called Choline Plus. Choline Plus is validated enough for abdominal fat mobilization and better fat metabolism. Choline Plus also has been validated by 4 layers of the validations. Starting from the performance, we have several in-house and farm trials which are showing that Choline Plus is giving as equal result as choline chloride, whatever it is, FCR, body weight, egg production. Choline Plus also improves the carcass quality and dressing percentage. Histology, we have seen the Choline Plus improves the liver health. In biochemistry, we have observed very interesting fact that Choline Plus can improve L-carnitine. Mark my words, 100% improvement in serum L-carnitine has been observed by using Choline Plus in the diet. All these layers of the validation further cross-checked by our nutrigenomics trial, where Choline Plus modulating the gene like LIPC, PMT, PARS, and many genes which are directly or indirectly actually improving the fat mobilization and metabolism. So just want to summarize, Choline Plus is convenient, compatible, as it's not oxidize the vitamin. You can lose vitamin like vitamin E, vitamin D up to 48% when it has been mixed with the choline chloride. But these vitamins will remain safe if you are using Choline Plus in place of the choline chloride. Then cost effective. This is the very crucial in this situation. from our 2 years of experience, we have observed that if you are using 400 gram choline plus to replace 1 kg of the choline chloride from 1 ton of the dye, you can save 1 lakh rupees per 1 lakh bird for a year. Next is the caring, as it is herbal. And these 4C, convenient, compatible, cost effective and caring, can drive the profit of the poultry business. Choline Plus is scientifically proven and we are following the global standard. We are ISO, FamiQuest and GMP certified product. I just want to conclude my presentation by saying the key for profitable farming is 3. 1 is choosing the right energy sources. You have to consider many factors. Second is balancing the energy in the feed formulation while considering the parameters like synergy, interaction, age, sex, phase, and seasons. And third, after giving this balanced formula to the bird, you further can ensure the better energy utilization by using of the various feed supplement as per the nutritionist and as per the feed formulation. Thank you so much for listening me. Over to you, Dr. Chandan.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja, for your crisp yet informative presentation. You mentioned few relevant points in your presentation that could be very useful in practice. Now, we will proceed to question and answer session. We have received number of questions from audience and we will try to answer as many of them as possible. Starting with for Devagowda sir, the first question will start with often we notice enteritis or maggot infestation in broilers in rainy seasons where the low quality animal protein source like meat and bone meal. What are your thoughts and solution?
Yes, the meat and bone meal, different qualities are available in our country. Some are very good quality, some are medium, some are poor quality. I don't advise using the medium and poor quality meat and bone meal because they do contain many bacteria, including Clostridium perfringens, what we say, which causes necrotic enteritis, and as you mentioned, enteritis. Yes, it is responsible. So if you want to use meat and bone meal, use a good quality steam sterilized meat and bone meal. Otherwise, I don't advise to go for that. So these are the disadvantages you are getting because of poor quality meat and bone meal.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Actually, we have got so many questions regarding to some common pertinent to some common factors. So I'm just clubbing the questions and asking you, sir. One question has come from an audience, sir. How to facilitate gizzard development while using pellets?
That's a good question. Nowadays, what the feed producers making pellets or the integrators, they try to increase the particle size. When you are making pellet, we grind it to 600 micron. That is a common practice throughout the world. Now the producers have realized the small particle size will not be favorable for gizzard development. That is why they try to increase, go to 700 micron, 800 micron. Many of them have gone to 800 micron. So that way it is beneficial when the particle size increases, gizzard develop better. You know, there are many advantages of pelleting. Only disadvantage, gizzard will not be developed well. This we can get it corrected by increasing the particle size to 800 micron, if possible 900 micron. If we increase the particle size further, pellet quality will be affected. So you have to balance in between. You have to balance in between, right?
Very well explained, sir. The next question I'm going to ask, sir, that what about litter protein standard level in poultry? And is there any relation to reduce feed cost? How to control feed cost with litter protein level?
Litter protein, you know, litter we say nitrogen content. If we are looking the cage litter, cage manure, say, it has 4% of nitrogen. Look at 4% of nitrogen into 6.25. So much of protein is wasted in the litter. So that is why in my presentation I mentioned you have to minimize this undigested feed. So for that purpose, I suggested an inclusion of protease, good quality protease enzyme to break down that undigested protein, undigested amino acids, so that in the litter nitrogen content reduces. So that is the both economical benefit, indirect benefits are too many, as I mentioned. All of you know very well, if the poultry farm is located near a village, people start complaining, oh, dirty smell, fly problem. Why? Because of this nitrogen. So I strongly advise minimize it by making use of the enzyme and so on, other procedures.
Right, sir. Sir, there is a question that is bacterial or fungal phytase have different efficacy?
Ah, that's a good question too. Nowadays, they go for bacterial phytase nowadays. Of course, earlier they started with fungal. Nowadays, they go for bacterial. I am not sure exactly, but nowadays people prefer bacterial phytase. They go for very high concentration, super dosing, and it is found beneficial. Absolutely, it is found in many experiments. It has seen bacterial phytase is found very much effective in reducing the phosphorus content. DCP easily we can take out 10 kilogram by super dosing of the phytase.
Okay, sir. The next question is for you, Dr. Pooja. That is, what is the role and effect of L-carnitine in birds?
Okay, great question, Dr. Chandan. Thank you for asking it. What happened? L-carnitine actually lying on the mitochondrial membrane of the cell, and its role is to carry free fatty acid. Whatever the free fatty acid will come to the cell for digestion, the role of L-carnitine is to carry that free fatty acid from cell cytoplasm to the mitochondria, because in mitochondria only free fatty acid can be digested by beta oxidation to provide the energy. So without L-carnitine, fatty acid cannot enter into the mitochondria, cannot be digested. So if label of serum L-carnitine is quite good, it ensures the better fat digestion.
Okay. Sir, we'll take last two questions. So, sir, Devagura sir, question is for you. Whether use of refined oil has benefit over raw oil?
No, raw oil is better than refined. I will tell you why. Raw oil contains what you call choline. It contains like lipids, what you call containing choline. This choline is essential. It is present in the raw oil. In the refining process, what will happen? They take out all this lipid fraction. Sorry, they take out so that the choline level also reduces. Lecithin. I am sorry, that word I forgot. Uh, During refining process, lecithin content reduces, and not only that. Okay. Mainly that is the difference. Yes.
Okay. Sir, we are taking, due to shortage of time, we are taking, can take only last question. And it's a very important question, the interesting question, sir. If we remove DCP completely with phytase superdosing, will it not result in reduced shell quality? Please inform the correct procedure for this.
Yeah, it will not impact the shell quality because take for example layers. So we know what is the available phosphorus requirement for the laying birds or for the broiler breeders. We know what is the available phosphorus. Our main intention is to maintain that available. Generally in the laying birds, of course, depending upon phase 1, phase 2, and so on. In the phase 1, maximum 0.4% should be fine. Even so much also not required. By taking out 10 kilo of DCP, absolutely we are taking out nearly 0.15 to 0.17 of available phosphorus, and supplementation of phytase, it will definitely beneficial to make up that.
Thank you so much, both the speakers, for answering the questions. My sincere thanks to Dr. Devegowda for his valuable time and knowledge sharing with us. We have reached the end part of this webinar. Due to the shortage of time, we could not answer all your questions here now. But I can assure you that each question will be answered by our speakers and will be shared with you through email you have provided during registration. So if you have any further query or feedback to give, please contact your nearest representatives from Natural Remedies, or you can write us at chandan@naturalremedy.com. I will be very happy to get your valuable suggestions or feedback, and we will reply you at your earliest. Thank you all once again. Have a nice day.
Thank you.